Excellent. So I think hopefully I have now managed to go live. For Pentart. So let me just find that on here. And with a bit of luck, then I can share. And then you can have my attention. Then you can have my attention, which is always a good idea, isn't it? There we are. We'll pop that there and just wait a little bit and see who comes in. Oh dear, oh dear. I might have to get a new penny. It's a bit dirty. Right, there we are. Oh, I need to move that out of the way, because with that out of the way, I won't be able to see what's going. Good evening, Elizabeth. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. I am very well, sweetheart. Let me just do that. Then I won't get any of that answering and binging either. I'm really quite well. Oh, some gel medium might be a good move as well, mightn't there? Along the way, you always need gel medium, because why wouldn't you need gel medium? Oh, and there's my tray of bits. So I'm really well, my darling. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you for spending some time with me this evening. I have some bits pre-prepared because I didn't want this to be a live about the resin, but hey ho, we will talk you through what I've done. So we'll just wait. Good evening, Sheila. I'm definitely feeling a bit better, Sheila. I am still a bit coughy, but I am not as worn out as I have been, and have managed to get out of the house today, which is the first time in 2 weeks, so that's cool. It's always positive. Why has my phone decided to go off? I don't know. I always run with two systems running so I can see what's going on. Oh, turn that down. Good evening, Deborah. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. So if you're watching, my name is Gill. I am part of Pentart's creative team, and I'm going to do the live this evening. It doesn't particularly focus on any one product range from Pentart. I uses lots of different things. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If the red live sign is lit up in the top left hand corner of your screen, you're watching this live, and hopefully I will see any comments and will be able to answer any questions. If not, then you're watching on replay, and if you could tag me in your response, then I will know that you've popped in to watch what's going on. And if there are any questions that need answering, I will be able to answer them from there. Good evening, Isabella. Welcome, my darling. Welcome, welcome. So we've got a few people watching. I'm sure hopefully a few more people will drift in. So I thought, we're getting into September. Autumn has officially started. I thought we should be making something autumnal. And in my local, one of my local cheaper end shops, this wooden Acorn chopping board was present. It has got a coating, and so it's not easy to stain it, and I didn't really want to sand it all down and back to its bare surface, so I altered what I was going to do, but I have given it a good clean, because one of the things that was obvious, she says, and I know I got out a new pack of wipes. Can we see them? No. Never mind. Was that it had a finish on it, and you can see that I'm still, even having given it a really good wipe previously, that I'm still getting rubbish coming off here, and it is lightening as I go. So I'm sure if I added some alcohol to it, I could probably lift off a bit more. So let's try and see if that will help shift off some of that. And then I know I've got a clean grease-free surface for working on. Yeah, there we are. And that will make my life easier. And I've got a wet surface, which is not so helpful, but there we are. Let's just do that and give it time for that alcohol. You can just see how much is coming off. Now, given that this is a chopping mat for food, ladies, I would suggest you might not be wanting to buy one for your food, but for crafting, it seems like a jolly good idea. There we are. Look at all of that rubbish that's come off there, and that would be in your belly if you weren't very careful. There we are. So I also hadn't had my new supplies come in from the person I get my Stamperia products from, and so I went hunting in my stash to see what I had that was suitably autumnal from years past, and found some leftover bits from the Woodland collection, and then some bits did arrive from the new collection, so from the new Golden Harmony collection. So I sort of mixed them up, if that makes any degree of sense. There we are. We're going to pop that at a wonky jaunty angle. So this is a crackle stencil, I think probably, well, from a long time ago, but you could use any crackle stencil. And we're going to be layering and adding details onto this. So we're just going to, I just wanted some texture, so any crackle stencil would work. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome, my darling. And hello, Barbara. Thank you for joining me this evening. So there we are. So I have two different deluxe pastes here, and they separate inevitably in transit. These pastes are slightly gritty, and they have broken up micro beads inside of them. And did I want the green at this point? No, I don't want the green at this point. I want the green later on. I want the truffle. Now, this is a new one. There we are. You can see just how much. So let's just pop some of that onto a paintbrush. We might or might not waste it. We don't like waste, do we? No, we don't like waste. There we are. Let's just wipe that off onto there, off onto there, pop that there. And then I'm not going to contaminate my pots. They say these are, well, the mediums, I think, are suspended in a gel medium. And so they definitely have a habit of separating slightly. But the fact that they're in a gel medium means that actually they will stick onto pretty much any surface that we've got. So let's just pop that over there, pop that over there. And let's just add some of that. Oh, she says moving that stencil. That wasn't quite what we intended doing. And we'll contaminate that one. We'll pop that into there. I felt that move. So just because that's totally my error, because that moved as I did it. So let me just clear that mess off, because I don't want it particularly messy. Okay, and let me just give that a little bit of a clean. And while I'm at it, we'll just grab some stencil spray, stick that on there, and we'll try again, and then hopefully we won't be having stuff putting there. It's a very lovely stencil. It's quite an old one from an old collection, Elizabeth, so you may or may not be able to find it, but you'll be able to find something, I think, that is similar. There we are. And I'm just wanting to add some little bits of interest. I don't want the whole thing. I'm going to add some other bits elsewhere. There we are. So we'll just pop that there. Hopefully we now won't have such a mess. There we are. Excellent. It's better. Better. Let me just move that up there. Oh, there we are. That's a bit better. And if I give this a wee bit of a wipe, and a bit of a blitz dry because I want to add a different stencil down here. There we are. Oh, she says dropping lids every which way. So let's just pop that one over there. That one onto there. We will need that green one out. So let's just grab that. And we might actually need that. So let's just pop that over there. Pop that over there. Let me just clean this stencil down. And I'm working on paper, so I can throw it away or use it as I see fit. There we are. So let's just pop that on the floor over there, out of harm's way. And let's just give this a wee bit. I tell you what, before we give that a wee bit of a blast dry, let me just move that there. And I'm going to add a little bit of crackle. I know, that's risky, isn't it? Crackle and me. Good evening, Stephanie. Hi, Lena. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for sharing, my darling. Much appreciated. Oh, dear. So, the step 1 crackle, medium, to go with the classic crackle. I used the transparent crackle last week. And we're just going to add some areas. I want some bits around, predominantly around the edges, coming into here. Don't want it every which way. I want some coming down here. And I'll probably forget where I've added it, which will be fun when I add this component too. But hey ho, let's hope the shininess of this will help when I add the component too. There we are. Let's just spread that out a wee bit. And so just wanting to add just some interest into some areas that might otherwise not end up with very much on them. So that's the concept of where I'm going with this. And you could, I guess, spend ages picking out each of those little areas separately. But you might not want to. So there we are. But we're definitely not going to cover the whole thing in spite of what it might look like. We're not. There we are. Let's just add some of that around the bottom edge of there. It's nicely demarcated for me. There we are. Good evening, Blanche. Welcome, my darling. There we are. I'll just add just some extra interest. There we are. I think there's probably a fat chance that I'm going to remember exactly where I've put it, but hey ho! It'll be a surprise. There we are. So let's lid that step 1 and then let's give this a bit of a blanch. Sarah, it depends on how thick they are, my darling. You'll do them no harm. The thicker ones you'll get a nice emboss with. I've done that. The very thin ones don't work very well. So have a little feel and see how thick they are. Because it's the thickness that's going to determine how well they will emboss, rather than anything else. Here. So I've just got everyone as well while this is drying, and that you've had some slightly better weather than us. I know that our poor European friends have had some pretty terrible weather. The poor Poles have had lots of flooding. I think the Hungarians have probably managed to miss it. But parts of Italy certainly haven't from our news. Good evening, Sophie, darling. I missed you coming in, so I'm sorry. I have just seen that you're here. So there we are. So let's just do this. So at the moment, in the shops, certainly in the UK, and so I suspect elsewhere, there are lots of full-shaped wooden chopping boards lurking around. I've seen variations of this acorn shape, and I've seen several different pumpkins as well. So, you know, it might well be that it's worth you having a little look around if you're thinking about doing a seasonal project. You know, depending on what you put on this could go off as a door hanger. to go on the bottom of the finial of a of your staircase, or just as a wall art piece for the season. The choice is entirely yours, of course. But as I say, I know that there are lots of these on the market at the moment. So I quite often pick up at the end of the season ones that are reduced price in the sale, but that's not so helpful when you're doing live ones. People might want to buy one that's currently available. But this could be done, as I say, or a variation of this could be done on lots of different things. This is more about ideas, concepts and techniques to pull a whole project together in the way that I typically do. Patience is a virtue, that's all right. So let me just get it dry. So the step one crackle has dried, just about. That's not going to show, you can't see it anyway. So let me, whilst the step one, well, I can see the step one crackle, just take my step two of the classic crackle, which is much thinner. Oh dear. I didn't clean that very well last time I used it, did I? There we are. Let's just break that open, hopefully without breaking the lid. There we are. I think that's possibly shifted it. There we are. There we are. There we are. And then I can pop the step two, which is the classic crackle, just over where I can see the shininess from my step one. There we are. So this is the joy of this. And we can give this a little bit of a dry. It shouldn't crack where there's not any crackle medium, she says. No, it won't. And if it does, it won't be stable. So it's definitely worth. There we are. We added that. And I can see, it might be difficult on the camera, but I can actually see where my crackle is because I've got a shininess to the surface where the crackle medium it has been applied, or the step one has been applied. So that can go into there. Let's just give that a wipe so we don't have, I think, so quite a lot of them of the Stamperia stencils are quite thin. Let me see if I've got one from the current one. They're probably about half the thickness of Dawn's. What I'll do is at some point I'll pop one through on a live and I'll show you the results. As I said, I don't know that you'll get fantastic embossed. I think you'll get some, but I don't think you'll get the depth. Let's see if we can get that deluxe paste dried. I hope that in the process this starts cracking nicely. You can see that the step is cracking. Let's pick up the crackles right at the end. No, yeah, it's still wet. I didn't want to do that, so let's just do that. I just want to add a different stencil and some leaves down here, just to be difficult. So move that to be dry, and then we can move some of this lot out of the way. That bit's definitely, the thinner bit is definitely right. Let's risk it, she says. Let's risk it. So I have the again, this one is from the Woodland collection, but there's something similar from the current collection. So let's just pop that, get rid of that white blob. Let's pop some stencil spray on here. This is a well-loved stencil. There we are. Let's just pop that onto there. Right. So let's just offload some of my deluxe paste in the gold. We've got the deluxe paste in the green, which now just needs another mix because it's not mixed together. Here we are. Let's just move you north there. Not a chance, Sophie. Not a chance. Let's get rid of that. Having said that, I normally go to the gym. Well, I go and do aqua aerobics if I'm going to do some exercise. So this is the emerald green deluxe paste. I don't want it all to be green though, because it's a bit bright. So there we are. Let's just mix in some of that. So we've not got a whole piece. There we are. Didn't want it all to be bright green. So I know that we're mixing and we're layering and we're messing, and that's fine. And obviously, having mixed these together, I can't put that back in the pot. So that's not helpful. But let me pop that there, grab that, lid that, and that's, and then we can take that off there. Hey, I like it when a plan comes together. Now then, the deluxe paste will dry quite quickly on there. So let me just give, this is a beautiful stencil. A beautiful, beautiful stencil. And the shine is not helping, is it? But I've had to put my lights on because the other day I did a live and people could, you know, it just became too dark by about 7 o'clock in the evening. So let's just give this a little bit of a waft, a dry. And if I leave that, aha, you see, there we are. That's better because it's not shining directly at it. And ideally I would have waited for that gold up here to dry completely, but if it hasn't, we'll not worry. Yeah. Good evening, Julie. Thank you for joining us this evening, my darling. I trust that you're safe. Right. Let's just pop that safely on the floor. And I'm going to have a talk through some bits and pieces. So, when I did my Nutcracker live, I cast some extra bits and pieces. So this is the new Rapid Resin in Ivory, which is that colour, into which I dusted the gold metallic pigment into the mould before it set. So those were left over. And then I thought, let's try something different for the rest of it. So I have, from the new collection, some moulds that I have cast with the ivory resin. Okay, the ivory resin, but I've coloured it with Umbra, which is a brown. And that lot had more in it than this lot. And we're meant to be able to paint these without the need to prime them. So we're going to try. I do like it. I think it's very, very good and very, very useful. Yeah. I do like it an awful lot, in fact. Right. Oh, that's when. Oh no, that's when we unpack it. Oh. Right, so we'll have a clean wipe to hand over here. So this is just literally the set resin, and they're wood slices from the new collection, Golden Harmony. And all we're going to do, so this takes, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I can tint this resin. Yeah. Okay. And I don't want the whole surface covered, but I do want the paint to stay in the piece, so now all of those surface definition in that mold is visible. And this one, there were clearly some holes, air bubbles in the resin, but that's fine because it just looks like a woodpecker might have pecked at the wood slice. So who cares? There we are. So I'll just wipe some of that off. So the paint does dry directly on the resin, and you can take as much or as little as you want off. Got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. Okay, so that is that, and this is just ivory matte acrylic, and these are mushrooms from the same mold. Because I think it's just going to add some extra detail, but again in a very, very simple way. We might not leave it quite like that. I'm going to leave that to sit in there a bit longer. And as I say, this is one, not even a whole casting from that mold, and it's a beautiful mold with lots of different sized mushrooms, and they are quite different in size and shape to the ones in the Woodland collection molds. So if your budget will allow it, I think it's worth adding that one into the collection. So this is acrylic paint. I could be using the Sur gels for doing this, but the paint will settle in. Gives me a little bit longer working time, but as I say, I could be using a Sur gel. So let me just wipe these off. Hello, Kim, welcome, my darling. So let's just wipe some of these down. Let's pop that onto there, and we can just wipe off what we want. We don't have to wipe it all off. I perhaps might have been better with some of those being a bit darker, but hey ho. So I'm going to leave more on the stems of these because the stems are paler, but we can alter that, and we can add colour in because we can paint directly on top. There we are. Of here. Let's just take some off that, and we'll give these a little bit of a blast dry. And we're going to pick up some inks. I know, I hear you say. So they paint quite nicely is the answer to that. And as I say, that is the ivory matte acrylic. But they still look awful flat to me. Oh, dear, oh dear. Right, let's get my hands clear. And let's just give these a bit of a blast dry. Because I think you'll agree there is quite a world of difference between this piece and this piece. So we're going to show you how I achieve that. I just need the paint to dry first though before I can do that. All right, let's just give these a rebrush. So we can add some colour. So you could add colour with more paint, or you could use stays on ink or a permanent waterproof ink. But the waterproof ink will take quite a while to actually set on these because they're non-porous surfaces. But it does eventually settle. And then if you varnish them with a water-based varnish, you'll be safe and fine. So there we are. And have I got myself a water of those blonde okay. We'll grab one. I'm sure I had one out. But there we are. Let's just get that dry. I have about 50 different pots in into me this evening. Always adds to the fun. So there we are. So, Samperia recently bought out permanent waterproof ink pads. So this is the brown, and I also have the black. So we're just going to add some colour with that around here, and it will come up over the surface. There we are. You can see all the details in this mould. Yeah, it's definitely changing that up, isn't it? You can see the difference quite clearly there. As I say, you just need to be aware that it will take quite a while to set on an unporous surface. A little bit of heat will help, and a little bit of waterproof, water-based varnish as well. So there we are. So I've utilised the ability to cover my ivory resin, some white to highlight some of the ivory paint to highlight the differences, and then I'm using a water-based ink, and I'm just going to add just that around the edges, coming in a little bit. It's just going to add a little bit of extra detail, and I will need, and so you could be using stays on, but I know Stamperia have recently got these in, so Pentart have recently had these in, so there we are. I don't need those onto there, so we're going to pop there. So hopefully that's shown you a way of actually really utilising the fact that you can pre-colour your resin, and that just means that you're not having to add a primer onto that, or B, a base layer of paint. You can use the colouring that's already there for you in the products. There we are. That's one of them. Let's go for one of those. So my little berries actually come from last year's Woodland Collections mould, because a live wouldn't be mine without like lots of these, would it? Yeah, it just wouldn't. Just wouldn't. There we are. There we are. So this is, I'm going to confess that this is not the white resin, because I have only had limited quantities, and I need to protect it for something else for that Pentart has planned. That's a secret at the moment. So this is my regular resin, just a white resin that I've actually added a layer of primer to. There we are, and that is olive green. There we are. We'll not be too tight brushes there. We'll get a smaller brush for the top of those berries. Pop that into there, and we're going to get a nice, neat, smaller brush in a minute, and we can then come in and paint some of that detail more manageably. We won't need it for these big ones. And this is aubergine or eggplant, because I thought it was the colour that I had that was the nearest to blackberries, really. That was the thought process in my brain for this. So you can, I hope you can see that by having the other resin being pre-coloured, actually how it's going to make my life so much easier and quicker going forward. I mean, there's always going to be some resin things I need to paint, but I'm rather hoping that it will short circuit some of my lives. There we are. Okay, let's take the worst of that off. Sorry for my computer binging at us. I thought I'd switched everything off. Clearly, my email notifications are still binging in, which is frustrating for everyone. But I do apologise. There we are. Cool. Right, so let's pop that in there, pop that in there, pop that there, and give these a good waft. Let these properly dry. So I hope that everyone is all okay. I've still got wet paint in the depths of these. Just give that a bit more of a dry. It's not going to take forever. I can pop that over there. And I will grab my varnish in a minute. Good evening, Isabel. Welcome, my darling. Thank you for joining us. Right, let's just shuffle that lot quietly. Yeah, out of the way because they're quite warm. And let them cool down. There we are. They can go over there. Let's just clean my mucky mitts and let's come back to here. There we are. Excellent. And give that a little bit of a blast whilst the going is good. The crackles in here are really quite fine. That's fine. I expected them to be because I put on very thin layers when I was doing that. So I have fire gold and copper and metal pigments here. I'm not. There we are. Oops, she says, spluttering that every which way. And yeah, so the red one is the fire gold, and this one is the copper. So I'm just going to brush this into some of these crackles, and they'll merge. We have. Oops, she says, adding way more than she wanted to, but hey ho, that's fine. It's just going to be easier to go with the flow. I can brush off the excess. There we are. So Some of that's going to get stuck on that, but that's because I haven't waited for it to dry. So let's just pop that into here. Oh, good. Well, and then splatter it all over everything that you didn't really require to be splattered. There we are. So you can see where that is picking up. So anything that's vaguely sticky, it's just giving me some nice texture around my piece. There we are. So that's before we have more of that spluttering every which way. We'll just lid those. We're going to have gold pigment and metal pigment every which way. And that's just fine. And I'll pick this up because I'm very much appreciative that the glare is not helping this evening. So let's just give this a wee wipe over. So I've got some very delicate crackle and some scratches. So if I pop that up, I think the crackle is going to be so fine that the shine isn't going to show it, but it is there, and it will just add a little bit. Yeah, it's really difficult. I apologize. There we are. Let's just wipe that off there, off what I don't want it on, down at the bottom. It'll stick onto anything that is slightly wet, but that's cool. And I might do a little bit of messing and take some of this off where I don't want it. Or I might later on just add and soften that edge down. There we are. The classic crackle is perfectly safe to take a wet wipe to, but please don't do that with the fine line, because you'll just take off all of your crackle. There we are. So I've got little bits of crackle, but that is fine. I appreciate that you can't see them necessarily. And let's just get the stuff that it looks quite pretty on there. I might deliberately add a bit to that. On the other hand, I might not. So we also know that on one of my lives, I showed how to make pieces with the fine molds. So these are just some feathers made with a lace mold. There we are. And gold and fire gold. There we are. We're going to add some of these down here. Not all of them, and not all the pieces. So I have all of my bits, and now they're all completely mixed up. So I know that is going to be my focal point up here. I don't want that one. Do I want that one? No, I want the brown. Hello, Georgie. Welcome. I'm very privileged to have the owner of Pentart watching. He's appeared in my thing saying that he's watching me. So that is going to pop onto there. Okay. So let us just take out. I wouldn't use alcohol wipes on these, my darling. I just don't think you have a need to do that. So those are made with that, and we're going to have some little bits of these, and we're going to have the mushrooms on top of here. But I had these all set out in the orders I wanted them, and now they're not, but that's okay, because we are going to build, as you've seen me do many times before, little scenes around these and around these elements. I might pop that up there because I think it's going to sit more nicely up there. There we are. So we're going to pop. I'll take that down, pop that there, and that's going to go onto there. I don't mind it being partly on and partly off my page. That's fine. So these come variously from the 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8 from the collection, Woodlands collection. But I think you'll find lots of elements in, and I can just give these a little bit of a shape. So that's going to, do I want that sitting there? I think we're going to have a play. I can't remember exactly how I had it, because that's always the way, isn't it? So we'll just pop that there. We're going to be layering anyway, so it does not matter. And in fact, I might not have had that one there at all. There we are. So we have another floral element. So we're going to pop that there. We can pop another one of those there. And then we need a scene building down here. And actually, I think for my scene down here, I'm going to pop this bigger one. Partly on, partly off. There we are. That will work. We've got lots of elements here. Lots and lots and lots of elements. So we've got some chipboards from the collection. And this is all about making something, layering until you're happy with where you're up to. So there we are. We'll pop that there. Pop that there. Quite like that heavier piece up on there. That can go there. That can go up on there. We've got more elements to add. So just by adding some brown around them, we're starting to add some extra definition into these pieces. So I'm going to pop that piece there. And then it's a question of, what did I have? What have I got? What was left? What did I feel worked really well? And what didn't I feel worked really well? So now we're going to pop that onto there. So that's where the concept of those did. And I could, I will add, I think, a little touch of gold powder onto those, purely because it's working so well on the ones that I can see. There we are. And as I say, we'll add some varnish to those when I varnish the whole piece off the live afterwards. There we are. So we've got our autumn berries amongst our feathers. So there we are. Let's just continue to build our scene. There we are. Well, I've got a mouse somewhere. Got a bird. I know I have a mouse, but I had one out. Damn. That's typical, isn't it? Can we see the mouse? Can we see it? Oh, no? Well, never mind. We'll manage without our mouse then. But there is a mouse in the collection. So where have I managed to offload it to? Wow. Okay. Well, we'll not worry. Well, we will worry because it's going to irritate me. But there we are. I had a third mouse. So let's just pop that into there. And then we can start adding some of these pieces. I'm sure it will appear eventually. I'm just going to give that a little bit of texture, a little bit of dimension into these pieces. Then I can tuck bits under, over and under. There we are. So, got a mouse. I haven't got my mouse. There we are. As I say, these pieces were all just ones that came with the collection. There we are. Pop that onto there because I think that's going to look lovely. We've got some rose hips. We'll give that a little bit of texture. We're going to pop that, build that onto there, I think, like that. It's very irritating when you lose a piece that you want, but hey ho, I can always cast myself a. And there we are, that can come up onto there. So I'm building my layers, my details, my dimension into my pieces, as you've all seen me do lots and lots and lots of times. So we've got our mushroom, so I'm going to pop a little mushroom onto there. We're going to end up having to start actually gluing some of this lot down fairly soon, aren't we? So I'm really happy with this collection. So then we'll start by adding some of this into place. There we are. Pop that there, pop that there. So we'll just add a tiny bit. Add that into there. I'll pop that onto there. This is a nice stable chipboard, so we can add a layer of gel medium onto there. And we'll just pop that so it's partly up, partly down. Clean off the mess from there. Pop that there. And I think actually I'm going to stick that up underneath there. And I know that's inevitably be slightly different to the way that I'd first set it out, but that is just life. And there we are. So we've got our autumn brambles tucked here. So let's just, and again, because I've got my gel medium, actually I can do this and I can add, yeah, I've got time and mobility into here, which always makes life easier. So that can have a bit of a scrumple, just adds a layer of texture. Was the wow to the gel medium, Andrew? It's a 230ml pot of gel medium, so it's quite a useful size to have. And we just need some better, a supplier in the UK who stocks a wider range than we currently have. Though you might like to try That's Crafty and see if she's got any. I know she has had it in the past. I didn't fill that mould, this mould, with the rapid resin intentionally. There we are. Because I didn't want to necessarily be using masses when a thinner piece was going to work for the project, if that makes sense. And just because the mould is there, and that's going to sit onto there. So let's just add this. So we're just building lots of layers, lots of detail into here. There we are. Pop that centre. So seek out tranquility, which I think is a lovely, lovely saying. I'm just going to de-yuck my fingers for now. There we are. And if I move that, there we are. So I can see the differences where I've got the different pieces, but I will add a layer of varnish over my whole piece once it's dried, so which will get rid of that color difference between the and it's just because I've used the different layers of the crackle in there to add a little bit extra texture into the piece as I have gone. So there we are. Okay, so let's just take some of these pieces off, and then we'll be filling stuff in. So he's going to go there. We better put some under there to hold that. It's going to go there with its bug holes. So we have all of these pieces and lots of things, and a little mouse, a little snail. Oh, she says, nice big bird. Aha, there is my mouse. There we are. Excellent. And some chipboard elements and some more berries. These look more like raspberries to me, but they could be any form of berries. And some acorns. So let's just pop all of this lot down, and then we can have a little bit of fun, because I can now. There we are. So two of those. So I am going to. I want my there, but I've got a gap, and that's fine. So let's just fill that gap. We'll just add. We could be using hot glue for this, ladies, but this will help work just as well. Just give that a little push. Okay. Maybe add a bit more. There we are. Just give that a little bit of a push down. There we go. Keep that central woman. There we are. So we're going to add a little mushroom. Is going to go poking out over there. There we are. We're going to tuck that and that. So let's just build these in. So that's going to come in there. So my wood slice is tucked out from the piece. There we are. And we're going to add that piece into there. Just building up the layers. So we have a mushroom, because mushrooms grow on wood slices, don't they? Yeah. So that can sit onto there, and that will eventually grab. We've got another set of mushrooms, and that can tuck into there, emerging from the foliage on the forest floor. Let's get rid of some of that extra gel medium. Okie dokie. So he's going to sit onto there. On my, that's the biggest of my mushrooms. There, tucked onto there. And we'll add, to support him, an extra mushroom there. And that means we can add just a little bit more gel medium onto there. Okie dokie. So we need just some extra pieces, I think, into here. So let's see where we've got, what we've got. We're going to tuck that under there. Maybe not. Maybe we're going to tuck that one just over here. Get rid of that excess gel medium, because it will show. Let's just take our extra feather and pop that into there. So it's just building up. See, I'm going to tuck it underneath, I think, because I prefer it tucked underneath. Okay. Let's pop that over there. So we have, and I had all of these pieces on my plan, so again, let's just carry on. So let's just tuck one of them. So there's another piece of chipboard just underneath there. There we are. This is the joy of the gel medium, of course, is it's allowing me to move these around. Yeah, that will work quite nicely. into there. Let's just pop that one into there, and we have a berry and another berry. So I'm going to pop let me just see what I want. I think that one and that one can go like that, because I think they're going to sit better for me. So that's going to go onto there, and this one, my little berry, will go into there. Let's just clean some of this up gubbins, because I've got gubbins every which way, and it'll show. So it's just worth taking the time to lift these pieces off. Some of this will be a problem. Elizabeth, what did you write, my thank you, my darling. Now I can see. So on StreamYard, it doesn't give me a translation, but on my phone, I get a translation, which is why I always have the dual systems running, because it just allows me to see what's going on. Okay. So I've got my mouse tucked in the bottom. I've got all of my energy. There we are. Into here. I've got lots of bits now that I can carry on tucking in if I want to. It's easier for me to have more pieces than I need than not. Do I want that? I do want that. So I'm going to pop that piece tilted just onto there on my forest floor. So let's just carry on. I want to add. I did find my mouse. He's gorgeous, absolutely. So let's just build some extra layers and some extra details now. Yeah, the whole piece for this, the whole concept for this was based on the mouse die cuts, which I just felt was lovely. So there we are. Let's just pop that underneath there. So we can now tuck in lots of our greenery, lots of our leafage even. We've got lots of it, so we might as well. There's even quite a cute snail. I'm going to leave that. I'll pop that underneath there with a blob of that. I'm just adding layers and texture by doing this, ladies. It's all we're doing is adding extra layers and texture into the piece. Tucking in, and this is why you need every bit of every collection all of the time, because if you don't have every layer of every bit of every collection, you probably want every bit. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's just fold that. So I could have out my heat gun, but we all know that heat guns ping things off. There we are. Got another little floral here. Pop that on there. Let's just grab a little bit. So this is where having all of the different sizes and shapes and the different, proportions really does allow you to build your composition and add lots of interest to your pieces, because then all of the layers will work together. She's nice, picking up an extra piece to tuck just under there. There we are. So I have, from that first set of resin that I did, let me just fish out them, and one of the Stamperia molds, these little curly cues. Clearly might need a bit more gel medium tucked onto there, so let me just pop that into there. So that can sit into there. That's going to go into there. Don't know that I necessarily want it underneath there, but I rather like it up, that one up there. There we are. Do I want to add these? I have several of these that I can add, and I'm not sure that actually it needs them. So I'm going to have a think about that, because we've got quite a lot of detail in here. We've got our little mouse, we've got our Mises there, we've got a lovely bird here that I'm going to tuck into there. With a generous glob, a gel medium. There we are. So we've got our bird, little birdie, standing up from there. And we've got a little mouse, a little slug. Do I want it there? Or shall I pop it there? I think I'm going to pop it there. Partly on, partly off, going towards munching that. So I need something. I'm just wanting to add some extra bits coming down here. There we are. Hi Liz, how are you, darling? There we are. And this is literally, it's just using lots of the different bits and pieces that we have lying around. Yeah, I like that tucked underneath there. And I couldn't do that if I'd used hot glue. Gel medium. I can lift that and tuck it underneath there quite happily. I want something here now. And this is when you could just literally carry on until the cows come home. Because as we all know, I'm definitely a more is more girl. There we are. But at some point you have to say, actually, enough is enough. Do I want to add? Let me just pop these into place. got 4 of them. It's always a bit of a headache, isn't it? No, I'm going to leave those off because I haven't got enough of them for it to work with my brain. So here is our autumn piece for the evening. When everything is settled, I can see differences between where I've got my textures in the background, and I will go back in and I will add varnish into those pieces so that I unify it all out. But if I try and do that now, then we will have a bit of a pickle. So I'm not going to do it now. I will wait for everything else to dry before I go doing that. So let me just pop that over there. Pop that over there. Oh dear, she says. Mucky, monkey. Let's just get that off there. Put those over there. Let me grab a clean piece of paper, of which we have plenty. And so many bits and pieces around the place. She says, throwing stuff in the rubbish bin. So here we are. Here is our finished piece. So we've got lots of texture, some shine, which I will do. I will deal with this. It's just where I haven't gone all over with the medium. The words, beautiful details. There we are. So that is our project for tonight. I hope that it's been useful for you and that you have learnt something and enjoyed what we've done. In the meantime, please, whatever you're doing, keep safe, and I hope to see you next Tuesday on a live and possibly on Sunday on my own page. Bye for now.